Do we think there's any hope Sony will consider allowing DualShock 4s to play PS5 games in the future? I just would like for my small little bitch hands to be able to use a DualShock 4 like God intended. I know from looking through Reddit, I'm certainly not the only person with this exact issue. This brings into question why PlayStation and Microsoft don't consider offering different sizes of their mainline controllers. You will recall that Microsoft did once have a different size of their mainline controller, specifically on the original Xbox.
Yeah.
So there was that reality at one time. The original Xbox controller would have probably killed you, Papa Flo.
That thing's a nightmare.
I don't have little bitch hands, but I will agree, and I've talked about it in the past, and this is why I wanted to talk about it, because I wanted to kind of get it out in the open. Maybe this is something people are experiencing. Maybe people need to be more cognizant of it or research it more, is that DualSense hurts me too, depending on the game I'm playing. If the game is very action-oriented and on the shoulders, it starts to hurt to play. I think it's because of the triggers being, weighted in various games, and the action of going like this for some reason is hurting me like down in my wrist, which I know is bad, right? Like, but otherwise playing games on the face buttons or like playing Call of Duty or something like that, where you're kind of more feathering the shoulder buttons and it's not really an action game, no problems. But I'm onto something with the DualSense 2, Papa Flo. That's why I wanted to specifically bring this up, is because I wanted to reiterate, I'm not going to give up PS5. I mean, absolutely not. And maybe they will allow PS4 backwards compatibility with the controller. But I wonder, have you considered the Leonardo that's coming out, the Project Leonardo, the controller that you can apparently customize to your heart's content? That will be official from Sony. So that might be an option for you. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, man, I gotta say, I've played, because obviously I play on everything. I play on my Switch sometimes, although like I haven't played it in a while. I play on my Series X primarily, because that's the one in the living room, and that's where my couch is. PS4 is in the bedroom, or the PS5 is in the bedroom. And I gotta say, like, as I've spent a lot of time with like some cross-platform games, specifically Destiny, across all of my machines, PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, I do find that the DualSense is, for some reason, the least comfortable option. And I don't know why that is. And it's not that it hurts me. Like, I don't have any like soreness or any like explicit like tendon issues or like knuckle pain or anything like that. But I find myself wanting to play less on my PlayStation if I know there's another option, like specifically multi-platform. If I'm playing on my PlayStation, I'm like, I'll go to the living room or I'll go to the PC. And it's kind of unfortunately made the PlayStation, specifically the PlayStation 5, more of an exclusive machine for me, which kind of blows, because it's a $500 machine that I would like to use for as many things as I would like to use it for. But it I don't know if it's just me, but it really is just the least comfortable option. I mean, aside from the Switch's controllers, which are horrible.
Oh, dude, but using a Joy-Con by itself is hell.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. It's horrible. But that is my experience with it, sincerely. Like, where it's like if I can only play it on PS5, that is typically the only way that I'll do it, because the Series X controller is just infinitely more comfortable. And I know it's the same exact basic layout of the last one, but it really is kind of a if it ain't broke, don't fix it type situation. And I have ended up just sort of preferring it.
Yeah.
You said you were having a pain too with the DualSense, right?
Yeah, mine's very specific though to my thumb being messed up from a skateboarding injury when I was in, I think, 7th grade or something like that.
But does it affect you with other controllers though?
Not normally, no. Like, I fully was able to play and platinum Sekiro on a DualShock 4, but DualSense specifically, something about it hurts. It hurts that part of my thumb that's injured, whereas other controllers don't. And what's funny is I recently had someone message me saying that I really should consider the DualSense Edge because of the way it feels, even though it is the same controller overall, that it does help a little bit. And I do know for me, and I don't know specifically what Papa Flo, what the extent of his injuries, whether it's just one finger or just his hands in general, is that something that really helps for me is remapping buttons. I have the opposite problem as Colin, that the triggers are easy for me since they're not my thumb, and I can use my two, my pointer and my middle finger. So I'll remap face buttons to the triggers. And that's the other thing about the DualSense Edge, why I'm going to get one. I'll probably make sure I get it before Final Fantasy 16 comes out, since that's kind of the big PlayStation 5 game that I'm waiting for. But having those back buttons too to remap as well would be really helpful, just to avoid that. But
yeah,
I don't know. I'm curious if Sony would release, or at least at this point, open up for third parties to make DualSense alternatives, because they did that with the DualShock 4, in that they made smaller controllers and there was also third party options, but they've been, and probably because there's so much more custom technology in the DualSense that they would want to be careful about licensing it out. But I mean, right now they're even just hard locking DualShock 4 from being used on PS5 games. So, and I get it, with the DualSense being so essential to the experience of many PS5 games and its haptics, but I don't know. To me, I think it's time to give. They've sold a lot of extra DualSense controllers. Just let people use the DualShock 4 on PS5 games.